Hi everyone. We are back. I've moved from one side of the room to the other to do a live Q&A session with Dan Bradbury, our Chief Product Officer. Hi Dan.
Hey everyone. Hey Kaushik.
How's it going today?
Good, thank you.
It's a slightly overcast day today, but we'll forgive that. Love having you on this thing.
Thanks, man.
So the way we've chosen to approach this is we've got the ability, you'll have the ability to ask questions in the chat. If you were around for the panel just before, you would have heard me say that as well. So on the right-hand side, there's a chat box. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in there at any time during the session. I'll be looking at that while Dan speaks. And also what we've done just to get the discussion rolling is we've got we've been speaking to our customer success and our sales team who speak to customers all the time. And we've kind of collected, call it 5 or 6 questions that we've heard frequently or time and time again from folks. So we're going to kick off very shortly. I'm just going to load up my questions and then we'll have a chat, Dan. How about that?
Sounds good.
Sounds awesome. Good. That's great. So the first question, and these are going to be a bit all over the place, but these are the questions that people ask. So this is great. So the first question we've got is, will we be able to build our own custom questionnaires in the future, and how would this work?
Yep, that's a good question. We've heard this question asked quite a bit. The first thing I would say is that before you contemplate doing your own questionnaire, is just have a good look at the ones that we provide. Because I think there's a number of advantages to using the ones that just come with the platform. We've mapped our question set to various security standards. So if you're measuring vendors against ISO 27001, we've got 10 or 12 different standards now that we support. So it kind of gives you that out of the box. We're getting feedback. We've got a number of people using them, and we're getting feedback, and we're just refining them gradually. So you get the benefit of that as well. As new regulation emerges, we can tweak them to make sure that they support those kind of regulatory requirements as well. So an example of that is the CPS 234 APRA regulation in Australia for financial services companies, where we just tweaked a couple of questions. I think we added maybe 1 or 2 questions, and then our ISO 27001 questionnaire now covers the scope of CPS 234. So you get it for free. Another thing is our system identifies risks. So it doesn't just give you back a bunch of answers that you need to wade through. It identifies, you've said no to something, that's a risk, and we categorize it in terms of its severity, and we give it a clear explanation. So you get that as well, and then they're the things that you can remediate. They're kind of the unit of currency within our system. So there's a number of advantages to using the ones that come with it, and we really encourage people to have a look at those before doing their own. Having said that, there's definitely legitimate reasons why people want to add their own questionnaires. We're going to do a questionnaire builder. It'll definitely happen in 2021. We're not to the we haven't planned exactly when, but it's definitely a feature we're going to build. Look forward to it.
Yeah, that's awesome, Dan. I know we've talked about it as well. I think that'll be a really great feature. So one to look out for in 2021. The second question that we've been hearing a little bit of is, so are there plans for us to be able to interact with questionnaire results more, like waiving risks or setting up rules to automatically send particular follow-up questionnaires based on the results of a prior one?
Yep. Okay, so in terms of interacting with the risks and being able to waive them, yes, absolutely. That's something, actually, we've been working on that this week as it happens, just planning out how it's going to work. And that, to me, it's most obvious when you're using questionnaires. One of your vendors has completed a question, and a lot of our questions give the opportunity for the person responding to explain any compensating controls that they have. You've said no to this question. If there's any other information that explains why you don't think this is a problem, please provide it. So that's kind of a compensating control, really. So we want to be able to surface those more obviously, and then let people then waive the risk based on the compensating control information that's been provided. Outside of questionnaires, where there are risks related to our automated scanning, obviously you're going to have to seek that compensating control information from the vendor yourself, because you don't have the questionnaire to rely on. But equally, you should be able to use your own judgment to waive a vendor risk. So definitely something, as I said, we've, as it happens, been working on it this week. In terms of the second part of that question, I think was about being able to automatically trigger questionnaires. I get why someone would ask that question. So far, we've resisted doing that, and I'll explain to you why. If you think about the total amount of time that it takes to send a vendor a questionnaire, get that vendor to complete the questionnaire, and then you to assess the responses to them, the act of sending it and automating that little bit of the process is not really the bottleneck. And in fact, you're automating the triggering an activity that takes a lot of people a lot of time. If you get it slightly wrong and you trigger a few more than you meant to, or if for whatever reason multiple get triggered at once and then all of a sudden you're flooded with responses, that can cause a bunch of problems. So we've kind of resisted the kind of automated sending of the questionnaire. We do automated reminders to tell you, it's been this long since you've assessed that vendor. You should send them, you should reassess them, and whether that means sending a questionnaire or reviewing other evidence. So we think it's important to help the workflow for people, to let them know what they should be doing next. But we have not, so far, we've resisted kind of going to automatically triggering a questionnaire for that reason. Yeah,
I think that's very reasonable. I think there's an element of judgment sometimes required as well in terms of when to send a questionnaire. It could be around a contract renewal. That's right. There could be many things. There could be a dispute with that vendor over something, for all you know, and you certainly may not want a system automatically doing something that you didn't expect in the background without you even knowing it, potentially. Yep. So it's interesting. The third one I've got is, this one gets asked sometimes. So can you share the logic behind why UpGuard chose to score things out of 950 and not say 1,000 or 100? We love this question. I know you love this question.
Look, I've worked at the company for about 4 years, and this predates me. Yep. So we've been scoring stuff for a long time. And when I say we, it was before I was here, as I said, but when we started scoring, companies, websites, things, no one else was doing it. So it was completely new. And I think it was quite a foreign concept and we were looking for ways to make it more relatable. And in the US, which is obviously one of our where a lot of our customers are, they have credit scoring, and the credit scoring, the kind of personal credit scoring, is out of 950. So we decided, okay, let's try to help people relate to it like it's like a credit score, but for a company in terms of their cyber risk, let's score it out of the same number. And it was really there's no other kind of science to it other than, at the time, it was really a new thing. Now I think it's much more widespread. People get it. I think they get the limitations of it now as well, importantly. Scoring is useful, but information about risks is more powerful than just providing a score. But it's matured a lot.
And we've added banding as well, right? So tiering, A, B, like grading, I would call it.
We do, right? We do. So we've got, and we that's right. So we have A to F, and we kind of color code those bands just to make it easier to give you a sense of what a score means in terms of, if a vendor has this score, it means they have this type of level of security practice, just to give you a kind of guide as well. So yeah, we've helped demystify the 950 a little bit.
I love it. That's great. How does okay, I'll read the question. How does your team/tool, or how does the product stay up to date with all the latest risks that are loaded in the platform for customers? So, i.e., if TLS 1.3 is now insecure, how fast are we to determine and confirm this to then add this to the platform?
Yep. So that's a great question. I mean, this is what we do. So this is our business. This is our domain. So of course we're hugely interested in what's going on. We have many bright people in this company who are very thirsty to learn more about what's going on. We read many blogs, websites. We have people in our team that read specifications. I mean, I know one of the members of our team has had a number of conversations with Microsoft about how they secure various nuances of Azure, and I believe we've influenced them to make a few little changes to some of their practices as well. And those conversations are going right down to the specifications of some of these security standards. So so that's part of it. We read a lot, and it's obviously essential that we keep up to date. A lot of Chrome is a good example where Google, if Google does something, we obviously listen very carefully to that. If they change the way some security check is done in Chrome, that's a really great source of information. There are many sources like that. Another great source of information we have is our own cyber research team. So we have, I don't know if everyone knows this, but we have a very active cybersecurity research team within our company. And those people are just, looking for security issues all over the internet all the time. And that's their job. And so they're part of the broader product team as well. So those people work very closely with the people who are then building the features into the product. So as they discover new attack vectors, new types of threats, we share that information and look at, okay, so how can we help protect against this within the product, and what should we be building in? So that's kind of a unique thing I think we have as well, where we've got great access to these security researchers as well.
Yeah, that's awesome, Dan.
Did I answer the question?
I think you did.
Yep.
I think you answered it well. And love our research team. Shout out Greg, Chris, John, Mark, everyone. I'm gonna motor through this because I see that we are actually getting some questions from the audience. I'm conscious that technically we're pretty much bang on in terms of the end time for this event, but we're going to keep on rolling for all the viewers out there. It's tricky with live events. Sometimes things run a little bit over, they run a little bit under, so just bear with us. But we'll keep going. Hopefully, many or most of you can stay with us. I might cut to there's a couple of audience questions. We've got one from Patricia Watson. Thank you, Patricia. How does the integrations process work? Can the users do it themselves, or do they need to reach out to the UpGuard team?
Yep. So we have an API that lets you pull information from our platform, and it lets you do many of the things. It lets you access a lot of the data within our platform. If there's anything that it doesn't let someone access and they want to access it, it's always very easy for us to add that. So we generally work very collaboratively with our customers on those things. So that's one way. With our API. We also have a webhook mechanism that lets you push data from our platform. Right. So when certain events occur, like a vendor drops below a certain amount, or a questionnaire is submitted, or we've got a whole set of events, you can choose. One of the things you can choose to do with those events is push them to something. So that's a way to then get data out of our platform into wherever you want to put it. So we've got the two mechanisms. Between those, most people can do most of the things that they want to do. Obviously, now I mentioned in my talk earlier that Alan is now running this program to look at it more from a kind of strategic partnership point of view, and kind of provide more pre-built kind of connectivity to then just provide another option, really. So you can go low level and call the APIs and do exactly what you want to do, or we've got this pre-built connectivity to help accelerate it for you.
Yeah, it's an exciting roadmap. I've got I think a similar question from Mike Franklin in our audience, and I think there'd be some overlap here. But his question was, "Hello, is there any API access where customers can generate key sets to pull/push data to other GRCs?" other than potentially ServiceNow?
Yeah. So part of our so within the platform you can generate a key that's tied to your account, and that's the way that then you can access the data from your account. A number of our customers are integrating then in with other GRC kind of platforms and using the two mechanisms that I talked about. It's very common, and definitely we're an area we're going to continue to invest as well.
Awesome. I've got, I don't have any more right now live from the audience. Reminder, if you want to ask any questions, just feel free to drop them into the chat and we'll proceed there. I'm going to flick back to some of the ones that we've been asked in the past, and I'm going to pick this one here. So if I share a feature request with you or with the UpGuard team, what considerations are taken before this could be added to the platform, and how does the team work in terms of its development cycle?
Yep. So when we started, in many ways it was a lot harder because we had there was no product.
Sure.
There were no customers to tell us what they wanted.
Yeah.
So we had to rely, I think, on our own experience and our own, intuition somewhat, to figure out, what was going to be the most useful thing to add next.
Yeah.
Now we have, we've got, a really engaged user base. It's fantastic. We have people that use the product very deeply and have really great insights into it, and in a lot of ways are all trying to solve the same problem. Like it feels like we all have a very common problem that we're trying to solve. So then when our customers are asking us for things, it's we want to make sure that it's going to benefit the user base overall, and we don't want to just kind of end up with something just for one particular customer. So that's one of the things that we think about. But to be honest, that's not generally a problem because we are all trying to solve the same problem here. So generally people suggest things that we look at them and think, yep, that's a good idea. Often it's on our backlog already, and so then it just maybe brings it forward if more people are asking for it. Occasionally, we have things where customers actually provide us insights that we haven't thought about, and it's like, that's a great idea. Let's add it. So we think about how many customers are asking for things. We've got a pretty sophisticated prioritization process now because we've been going for quite a while. We think about how widely it'll be used. We think about efficiency a lot. So how will this speed things up for our users? Will it mean they can do more with less people? We think about the completeness of the security profile. Will this help fill in any gaps? We also I think we're quite conscious of the balance as well between ease of use and configurability. So not to say that you can't have both, but to some extent, the more configurable you make something, kind of the less simple you make it. So we try to just get that balance right as well, and make sure we're not creating this thing that can do anything but is pretty hard to get going with. So that's another factor. We think about how hard it is to build.
Of course,
I'm not going to kid you. that obviously factors in. Is this going to take us a week, a month, 3 months? How much work is this? And to maintain as well, is this creating a kind of maintenance issue for us? So there's a bunch of factors that we think about. But, I guess our guiding principle is that we want to make it better, more efficient for our users. And generally the feature requests do that. So we kind of rank them in that way. We then we plan annually. We have a view of what we want to achieve in a year. Mm-hmm. We plan quarterly in a fair bit of detail. And then we publish a roadmap saying these are the big items we're going to do this quarter. And then we work in kind of pretty traditional fortnightly sprints. Mm-hmm. And then we do a release every 2 weeks. So generally we roll out features, pretty constantly. Yep. And then we often toggle things off and do beta releases if we want to try things out with certain customers first. And we have a few mechanisms like that.
Absolutely. And if folks want to check out our release, what we've been releasing, if you go to upguard.com/releases, you'll see a fortnightly post by Arby about what we've been shipping each fortnight. So there's something in the platform every fortnight.
Yeah, I think it's a great...
Small things to large things.
If you want to get a sense of our kind of cadence, I think that's a really good place to go and look, and you'll see, you can kind of scroll back a while and see the kind of pace we're going at. Yeah, I mean, we feel quite good about the pace that we're building things out. It's being very actively developed, and we have no intention of slowing down.
It's fantastic. Thank you. There's two. We'll take two more. I know we're a little bit over time, but let's just do these. So this one's an interesting question from Simon Daly, I believe is how you pronounce that. Sorry, Simon, if I've got that wrong. How do you handle and discover organizations potentially exposed sensitive data and leaked credentials?
So I think this sounds like a question about our data leaks. Yep.
Yeah.
So I would say that's an area where we have a lot of proprietary intellectual property. Mm-hmm. So we have a number of search engines. It usually works. I mean, we need some kind of keywords to kind of seed our searches with. So we work with the customer to agree on what the keywords are. Often it's their brand. Mm-hmm. It can be, large names of large projects that they're running, or any other relevant things. Yeah. And then we create a bunch of searches off that, and we search every data source we can think of. Yep. And then we look for potential leaked data. Yep. And we have a kind of automated mechanism for classifying that. So we narrow down all the data on the internet to, this is a set of things that we think is a problem. We do that automatically. Then we have an analyst that reviews those, and then that narrows it down even more to, these are the ones that we think are a problem, and that's what we then share back with our customer. Mm-hmm. So that's specifically for our data leak searching, as opposed to the kind of automated scanning that we do across our whole vendor portfolio. But I think that's what that question was getting at.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I think getting a sense of how we do that is it's challenging to explain, but I mean, I think Greg last quarter, he talked about it, instead of using Google to find a good restaurant to eat at, our search engine finds data leaks. What I mean? So,
I mean, I think the one thing that I have heard from talking to a number of our customers about this is that So firstly, we can demonstrate that we can find stuff. Yep. So this is quite an easy bit of our platform to demonstrate the value of.
Yep.
So that's in a way, I guess that's kind of good.
But it's conversely, it's a difficult thing to get a sense of unless you've seen it.
That's right.
You've had a demo of it.
That's right.
Because it's something that isn't really out there. Like, it doesn't exist. No one else really does this, as far as I'm aware. Some companies say they do and whatever, but it doesn't seem to be as comprehensive a solution as what we do. So it's a product that doesn't exist naturally in people's minds. Yeah. So usually you have to get a demo and check it out, and then you'll get a sense of how it works.
The other thing that that we hear about it is a lot of the value is in the curation.
Sure.
So we don't give you back a data feed, just a huge wave of data and go for it. You can wade through this and see if you think there's a problem.
Yep.
No, we do it for you and we curate it, and we just tell you that these are the 3 things that are a problem. And that, I think, is, it's a huge time saver for people. And many of the kind of CISOs that I've spoken to have said, look, I don't have a person to dedicate to just wading through this stuff and I don't want another huge source of data that I have to mine.
Yeah.
I want useful information, and that's what that product gives you.
Absolutely. And they're automating it over time as well. So they're able to scale we're able to scale that team effectively through automation too.
That's right.
Which is difficult to do on your own, because you don't even have the volume of data that we do. You don't have billions of records to process to create automated searches and things like that. So cool. And then final, I think we'll do one more question. I've got Stuart and Harsh looking at me going, we've got a couple minutes, but I think this is a great question and a fair question from Grant Taplin. Can you maybe comment on the use of sinkholes to add metrics to third-party risk assessment?
Right. That's a great question.
Yeah.
Look, that's something that I know 1 or 2 of our competitors do this. We have not gone there. And the reason we haven't gone there is it's kind of related to what, I don't know if this is the general term for it, or it's what we call it, is IP attribution.
Yep.
So how do you know who owns the IP address that is sending traffic to that sinkhole?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you know what that device is? And so if you can maybe tell that for some company they own some IP range, and something within that IP range is sending traffic to a sinkhole, then okay, what does that tell you? What is that device? Is it if it's coming from a desktop device, which it probably is, then is it a company issued corporate device?
Yep.
On the main network that has access to everything?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it someone's phone that's on the guest Wi-Fi network? Because it's all getting natted out through the same IP address to the internet.
Yep.
You just don't know. Is it even an employee's device? Is it some person who is a contractor doing something there for a day and is now gone away again?
Yep.
So you get a lot of false positives.
And they essentially mean that you have to do the work.
That's right.
So they're presented in a UI. There's like millions of records, and you have to sift through and work out what's a threat and what isn't.
That's right. So for those reasons, it's unreliable. It creates a lot of false positives, and it creates a lot of work for the customer to pin it down. We haven't gone there.
Totally makes sense. No, thank you, Dan. We've got to wrap up now. So Stuart's saying he's doing that. He's doing those ones, which is great. So thanks so much for taking the time and jumping on with us.
It's the first time we've done this.
Yeah, no, it's the first time we've done this. So apologies, we ran a bit over time. But thanks, everyone. And that kind of wraps up where we're at. We'll be in touch very shortly with an email with a survey about your experience today. And just feel free to give us any feedback through that survey. We want to make this better and better for you each quarter. In February, we've got a couple of big announcements coming up, and we'll send out invitations for the February event very shortly. But thanks for joining us, and see you next time.